Now, with the rising popularity of beauty enhancements, this has been a topic that has been the center of debate across the country in recent weeks. And tonight, and to the point, we want to explore the fine line between reconstructive plastic surgery and cosmetic surgery. What is driving the demand, and what are the risks and health implications that comes about with these beauty procedures? Welcome to TV47 Weekend Edition. Many thanks indeed for joining us. We have so much more lined up for you tonight, but as it is our custom right here, let's take a look at the stories making headlines tonight. Tonight, family of one of the 4 women murdered refutes claims that she was in a romantic relationship with the main suspect, Hashim Dagani. Also tonight, it is church day for politicians. President Ruto, Deputy President Kindiki, and former DP among the faithful in churches today. Politicians back to the use of pulpits every Sunday.
Mimi niko na uchungu sana. Niko na uchungu hata nimelia usiku yote kwa ajili ya huyu mtoto. Plus, police launch manhunt for 4 KCSE candidates who allegedly stabbed to death another candidate at China's Boys High School in Nakuru County.
As we speak, investigations are going on. The other 3 boys who were in the scuffle are already in police custody and waiting and assisting police with the investigations.
And doctors threaten to call for a strike over failure by government to implement their CBA.
We'll give a 7-day strike notice, and we will proceed on strike until these issues are implemented.
All right, welcome once again to this live broadcast. 22047 is our SMS line, and we are live on our social media platforms at TV47 Kenya on Facebook and YouTube, at TV47 News on X. The hashtag is To The Point. My name is Odida, and on the sign language interpretation desk is Catherine Simaloi. Let's get started. Tonight we start with some sad news where police in Nakuru County have arrested 4 KCSE candidates for alleged involvement in the murder of another candidate at China's Boys High School in Nakuru. Confirming the incident, Gilgil Sub-County Police Commander Willie Chiboi stated that the 4 had previously been suspended from school but were allowed to return to sit their national exams. And as Andrine Kilemi now tells us, the students differed over personal items destroyed before the incident occurred.
A somber mood has engulfed China's Boys High School in Nakuru following the death of one of its candidates who was reportedly stabbed by a fellow student after an altercation over school property that the victim allegedly damaged.
Mimi niko na uchungu sana. Niko na uchungu hata nimelia usiku yote kwa ajili ya huyu mtoto. Nikijiuliza, msasi, wewe umesomesa mtoto kuanzia form 1 mpaka form 4. Una expect uende kuchuna matunda. Alafu all of a sudden mtoto wako unasikia unapigiwa simu unaambiwa mtoto amekufa. Sasa kitu tu ni maombi, tuombe hao wenye wako hapa ndani. Hata sina la kuongea.
The prime suspect was arrested Sunday evening. Reports indicate that the incident occurred on Saturday night after a confrontation broke out among the 4 candidates, escalating into the fatal attack.
The culprit, the person who is said to have stabbed the deceased, managed to disappear last night to Nairobi, where the mom is residing.
Confirming the incident, Gilgil Sub-County Police Commander Willie Chiboi said the 4 had initially been suspended from school but were allowed back to sit their KCSE exams.
All the 4 boys were under suspension, but they came back to school because of examination. The other 3 boys who were in the scuffle are already in police custody and waiting and assisting police with the investigations.
The 4 candidates will remain in police custody as investigations continue. The body of the deceased has been moved to Nakuru Hospital mortuary. Andrine Kilemi, TV47.
A very unfortunate event right there at Shina's boys. Now, 25-year-old Abdirahim Abdullahi was shot dead at Eastleigh by an unknown assailant who took off with his belongings. The family of the deceased, who was buried at Langata Cemetery today, is calling on the government for justice.
This CCTV footage clearly captures the Saturday night incident where Abdirahim Abdullahi was murdered at this corridor in Nairobi's Eastleigh estate. He was shot below the ear with the bullet exiting on the other side of the head. Post-mortem conducted at Nairobi City Mortuary revealed the deceased succumbed to excessive bleeding. Abdullahi was laid to rest on Sunday at Langata Cemetery. The family says that he had gone to visit his girlfriend, a waitress at one of the restaurants in Eastleigh, who later reported the incident at Shauri Moyo police station.
Alikuwa anaishi hapo 6th Street. Kuna mwanamke alikuwa amempigia simu, akamwambia tupatane hapo 12th Street. Akamwambia twende nizindikishe hadi nyumbani kwangu. Akamzindikisha.
However, the deceased family raised questions concerning the release of the murder's prime suspect, seeking for answers from the DCI on the issue.
Ule msichana alikuwa ameshikwa na gava, akawachiliwa. So we need some feedback na report kuhusu msichana pia.
I don't think venye wamemwachilia sidhani watasolve. Okay, so we just need justice for my brother.
The family and friends are now calling on the government for justice following the killing of their 25-year-old.
They just killed my brother. All I can say is I just need justice for my brother.
It's like a planned up murder. All we are asking from the government and the detective team is justice.
Anastasia Mukabi, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, the arrest of Hashim Dagani on the 3rd of November gave detectives a breakthrough into one of the country's monstrous murders of 4 women, whose discovery of the dumped bodies and body parts sent shockwaves across the nation. This when the country was grappling with a spike of femicide cases, which the police admit to be alarming, where at least 97 cases have been reported in the last 3 months. Tonight, Moige William patches through 2 weeks that Dagani went rogue and in a cruel style, ending the lives of 4 women. Hashim's last victim mutilating her body and meticulously removing flesh from the bones.
Hashim Dagani, now cooling off his suspected gruesome killing hands at the Ruaraka police station, was arraigned in court 3 days after another badly mutilated body was found dumped at Langata Cemetery. The Directorate of Criminal Investigations has linked this man with eyes gazing steadily that pierce through anyone, telling of a human full of devoid of empathy. Ironically, Hashim carries himself with calmness, every movement deliberate, and when he speaks, his voice is smooth and controlled. This is the man who is alleged to have taken the lives of 4 women: Deka Abdinur Goroni, Nusaiba Abdi, Amin Abdirashid, and Dahabo Daud. His actions as methodical and detached as his demeanor. It is believed that Dahabo Daud, Amin Abdirashid, and 12-year-old Nusaiba Abdi were Hashim's first victims of his killing spree. The sequence into the gory, graphic killings began on the early morning of 21st October when Dahabo dropped a message to her husband that she had stepped out to go seek medical attention from a dermatologist at the BBS Mall in Eastleigh, Nairobi.
I talked to Dahabo on the night that she was killed, around 7:30ish in the evening. It was voice recording, but that was the last time I spoke with her. And based on what she told me, that she was going to see a doctor for skin itchiness at that time.
The next time to be seen was a day later. A lifeless body which bore stab wounds with hands chopped off discovered in Chumbi, Machakos County. October 23rd, 2 human hands were recovered in South Sea along 5-Star Road. Post-mortem on Dahabo's body indicate that her neck was slit.
We think she was tortured because when you look at the face, there were multiple injuries with also skin being peeled off, also of both arms.
CCTV footage TV47 is in possession of indicate that the very same day that Dahabo disappeared is the same day that Hashim picked Nusaiba and Amina. police indicating he used Dahabo's phone to lure the two. While taking an elevator unknowingly to meet their killer, the two girls are heard mentioning his name. Was the man known to them? The last steps of these girls indicate their hesitation of meeting Hashim. It remains unclear if by the time Hashim picked the two girls, Dahabo was in the vehicle or even alive. On the same day Dahabo's body was discovered, the bodies of Nusaiba and Amina were also discovered. Amina's stripped naked body with multiple stab wounds was discovered in Parklands. Nusaiba's, with an autopsy report indicating she was defiled, was discovered in Bahati, Eastleigh area.
Amina Abdi Rashid Dahir, she was about 22 years old and she had multiple stab wounds. She was stabbed many times, with one of the stab wounds getting right into the heart. So she died because of the stabs.
On the 27th of last month, DCI published Hashim's photo linking him to the gruesome murders of the three family members, explaining that investigations conducted established he was driving the car captured on CCTV cameras, picking the victims from their Eastleigh home. Unknown to the sleuths, Dagane was yet again planning another heinous murder. DCI is so far linked to the badly mutilated body found dumped at Langata Cemetery on the 31st of October to be of Deka Abdinur Goroni. Deka was reported missing at California Police Station on the 24th of October. Detectives have since established that Deka and Hashim did spend time together at a short stay apartment in Lavington.
Since then, the police were still looking for where she was. And now, alhamdulillah, still we are requesting the police to give us justice, since that sister of ours have been murdered very badly.
The university student was last seen alive on the 29th of October, captured by CCTV cameras carrying shopping bags and entering the premises. Believed they stayed together with the suspect. The following day, early in the morning, Hashim was captured leaving the apartment carrying two bags. Homicide detectives suspect the bags contained the remains of the victim that were later in the day discovered at Langata Cemetery. Family members who have declined to be interviewed on camera revealed that all the four women who allegedly had their lives snuffed out in the most inhumane way by Hashim are all family members.
Never heard of Hashim. I've heard when he was being, I have saw him from the media. I don't know him. His whereabouts. I don't know his relatives. I don't know him. There's not any family of ours who knows him. We don't know him.
DCI scratching through evidence gathered to establish the motive behind the killings. Two other suspects are in custody, including Jared Mongare. Mongare suspected to have handled monetary transactions on behalf of Hashim and driving him off from his last murder scene. Moige William, TV47.
5 people were last night killed in 3 separate attacks in Isiolo and Samburu counties as Deputy Inspector General of Police Gilbert Masengeli, who today coordinated response operations by the police in the region, sounding a stern warning to those involved in cattle rustling activities. According to Masengeli, who spoke to journalists at the Isiolo police grounds this evening, the attacks happened at Bojidera in Isiolo, where 2 people lost their lives. The second incident happened at Olabule village in the outskirts of Isiolo town, where 1 person was fatally shot, while the third incident happened on the other side of Ewaso River in the neighboring county of Samburu, where 2 more people were shot dead.
Criminal act, and independently investigation will reveal that since investigation is on. Tunataka kuhakikisha kwamba zile ng'ombe ambazo zimeibiwa, mtu anapofikiria kuchukua ng'ombe ambazo sio zake, mifuko ambazo sio zake, hiyo ni hatia na sheria inachukua hatua yake. Maafisa wa polisi ambao tumetuma hapa watahakikisha wamefuata hiyo wanyama, kushirikiana na wale ambao wameajiriwa, wanyama wao wameibiwa, pia kutujulisha kwamba hii ng'ombe ni yetu, na pia tutawashika, na tutawashika bure. Kurudisha ng'ombe peke yake, wao pia watapita kotini.
All right, that is so unfortunate, and we hope justice will be served for those incidents in Isiolo and Samburu counties. Of course, we are keeping you updated with everything that is happening in the country. Today, as you've seen, we've covered a lot of cases of killings in the country, starting from China's boys all the way to Eastleigh and now to Isiolo and Samburu. Indeed, we hope that justice will be served and every family that has lost their loved ones will get closure at the end of the day. Now let's move on. Former Deputy President Gachagua now says that his silence should not be translated to being foolish. Gachagua, who spoke during a church service in Nairobi's Kahawa West, said that there should be no chaos because he is not in power. And as Josh Nsari now reports, Gachagua has accused the government of oppressing the very same people it vowed to protect.
Morning at the Priesthood Church in Nairobi's Kahawa West area, the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua attended a church service. Gachagua using the church platform to accuse the government of failing to protect the people it vowed to protect during the campaigns. Gachagua accusing some of the leaders in the Mount Kenya region of betraying his community for money.
A senior citizen who came to see me, I will not say her name, she told me, looking at our people, they can even sell their mother if the price is right. Advasio the Nemoy, Nemuramo Nide. Moadeke Hado, Takapuini Krakaidia. No, it cannot get a corner at over and above. Oro Kunyaneri, Nubeno Ito, Uturaga Wokinya Hede at Warogerabayagi.
In his native Kikuyu language, Gachagua said that his ouster was a betrayal from a section of leaders from the Mount Kenya region.
Trohegire. Katusinohega. Tulioge Katutioge. Trohegire muno. Nanetoli Karagatoke Menyagirira. Togedurara hata. Noratoli Karnagia now.
He says he was chased from office for being truthful and speaking against oppression of his people. Gachagua says he is having talks with various stakeholders and will announce his next move.
President na karekana na thirikari tondu arauga andu matigatharirio thirikari ugete matharirio.
Watu wakituona tumenyamaza waache kushinda wakituambia hapa ati sisi ni watu waoga. We are not going to allow you to take us through that path of incitement and making ridicule of our community.
Na mimi nimeangalia kwa macho naona mambo ni tiki. Na nikaangalia kwa nikasikiza mahubiri na nikasikiza venye mnashabikia na venye mnasema. Wala wanasema kwamba nyumba ya maombi eti shida kubwa tu tutoe Rigathi Gachagua, maana tukimtoa hii jamii ya Wakikuyu wanasahau vitu.
Gachagua has continued with his call to Kenyans to keep peace and work hard during these hard economic times. Josh Onsare, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki now says there is an improvement in the country's economy. Speaking during a Thanksgiving service in Taita Taveta, the Deputy President said the efforts by President William Ruto in reviving the economy are working. Julius Mariki reports from the county of Taita Taveta.
Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki was attending a Thanksgiving service in Taita Taveta County days after he was sworn in. Speaking at the Jesus Palace of Praise Church in Mwatate, Kindiki has said the Kenya shilling has improved, making life better than 2 years ago. This, he says, is as a result of heavy lifting, hard-working and progressive economic transformation policies initiated by President William Ruto that are bearing fruit.
Shilingi ya Kenya ilikuwa dhaifu. Dola moja ya Marekani ilikuwa inagharimu shilingi ya Kenya 165. Leo hii dola yetu imepata nguvu kwa sababu inagharimu shilingi 129, 127 katika dola moja ya Marekani. Wewe ukiwa hapa Mwatate, labda utauliza maana ya dola kushuka ni nini kwangu katika maisha yangu. Bidhaa ambazo watu wetu hapa Mwatate wananunua, bidhaa vya kinyumbani, bidhaa vingi ambavyo viko madukani ni bidhaa ambazo zinaagizwa kutoka mataifa ya kigeni. Wale wanabiashara ambao wanaleta bidhaa zile wanalipia bidhaa zile kupitia dola ya Marekani. Shilingi ya Kenya ikiwa na nguvu, watatumia pesa kidogo kuleta container moja.
At the same time, the Deputy President has said moving forward, the government will ensure that it will work to ensure Kenyans improve their economic condition.
Ile safari ambayo imebaki katika hii miaka mitatu imebaki ni safari sasa, kwa sababu hakuna ile general economic imbalances or instability ya kufanya bidii ili tuweke pesa katika mifuko ya wananchi. The work that is remaining now is to deal with the microeconomics of improving livelihoods, household incomes.
Leaders present accusing former DP Rigathi Gachagua of neglecting some regions such as Taita Taveta.
I stood before the former deputy president, the impeached one, and I requested him to remember Taita Taveta. Akasimama immediately with wrath, akaniambia Mwashako, Taita Taveta hamuna shares kwa hii serikali. I felt belittled, I felt embarrassed.
Kama viongozi wa Taita Taveta, sisi tunafurahia muungano wa nchi yetu, tunamfurahia rais wetu anapoendelea kuunganisha nchi, tunakuunga mkono Mheshimiwa Deputy President. Anytime you come to Taita Taveta, this is your home. All the leaders wanatembea na wewe na tutakuunga mkono katika juhudi zako zote.
Julius Mariki, TV47.
President William Ruto has urged Kenyans to continue registering for the new health insurance, that is the Social Health Authority, revealing that 4 million people have already enrolled. Speaking in Isiolo in Kakamega County, Ruto defended the new health scheme, saying it will ensure healthcare for all. As Violet Auma reports, Ruto also reiterated that 2022 sugar bill, which he signed into law last week, will transform the country's sugar sector.
Speaking at a Kambuli Church of God in Isiolo constituency, Kakamega County, President William Ruto urged Kenyans to embrace the new health plan SHA, saying despite the challenges, it aims to bring equality and ensure that every Kenyan gets medical services in the country.
Wakenya ambao wamejisajili kufikia sasa walikuwa 9,000,000. Saa hizi wamefika 14,000,000. Ile magonjwa iko na kiburi, ile ya kansa, sijui diabetes, usitolewe tena hospitali kwamba pesa yako imeisha atiende uongojee kifo nyumbani.
For us to have universal healthcare, ili mwananchi isibidi afanye ati harambe, naomba tujisajili kwa Social Health Insurance Fund.
The president asked all Kenyans to register in the program, promising that the government will facilitate payment for the poor, unlike the former scheme NHIF.
Katika kujisajili, tutajua kama serikali, kama wewe uko na uwezo ya kulipa ama hauna uwezo ya kulipa. Na kama hauna uwezo wa kulipa, sisi kama serikali tutakulipia wewe.
Ruto was accompanied by Chief Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, Kakamega Governor Fernandez Baraza and other political leaders in the country, promising reforms in the sugar sector after assenting the 2022 sugar bill.
Tumekuwa tukizungumza, but without the proper legal framework hatungefaulu.
Na kuomba kwa heshima, let us now operationalize the act.
The president has promised implementation of the proposals in the bill that will benefit sugarcane farmers and millers.
And that transformation is underway. We are going to make sure all the remaining sugar companies, we're going to have new management so that we can ensure that we change the old system that has crippled the sugar industry.
Ruto also announced suspension of sugar importation from foreign countries for the next 2 years and prioritize local production. Violet Auma, TV47.
Now, a section of Azimio leaders led by Kalonzo Musyoka, Eugene Wamalwa and Jeremiah Kioni have criticized the government, accusing it of increased taxation, making the economy quite hard for Kenyans. Now, speaking at Kenol in Murang'a during a music concert, Kalonzo said that he remains loyal to the people of Kenya. Kalonzo says he will move to court to challenge the move by the government to have Adani take over JKIA. The opposition teams says they will organize rallies across the country to lure Kenyans to join them.
Kesho hatutaki peremende. Kesho tuko kwa mahakama kutetea uwanja wa Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Wangapi wanakataa na uwanja wetu, nataka tuone. Wangapi wanasema tuendelee na kupigania haki zetu, tukijiandaa kuwapeleka hawa nyumbani.
Mnakula peremende ile ya Adani ya airport, ile ya Adani Ketraco, ile ya Adani ya Shah na Shif, na watu wa Murang'a hata kupata matibabu ni shida.
Na tutakuja na tutakuwa na hafla kama hizi kila sehemu ya Kenya hii.
President William Ruto spent his Sunday in Western Kenya, where he led faithfuls and other leaders in attending a church service. His Deputy President, Professor Kithure Kindiki, chose Jesus Palace of Praise Church, Mwatate, in Taita Taveta County for Sunday worship and Thanksgiving service. Immediate former DP Rigathi Gachagua, on the other hand, remained in the capital city at Priesthood Fellowship Church in Kahawa West, Roysambu constituency. The leaders are slowly and robustly making their way back into the pulpits. Now, George Maringa interrogates in this report.
For a country that is highly religious with a majority Christian population, even the Constitution of Kenya acknowledges the supremacy of God in its preamble, which states, and I quote, "We, the people of Kenya, acknowledging the supremacy of the Almighty God of all creation," end of quote. It therefore follows that Sundays have been days of worship. Sunday, while President William Ruto worshipped at Ekambuli Church of God, Huisero, Kakamega County, Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki settled for the coast as former DP Rigathi Gachagua was in Nairobi, and KANU National Chairman Gideon Moi worshipped at AIC Milimani. Elected leaders have not shied away from taking to the pulpit, events that have attracted a myriad of reactions. There is a consensus that you cannot separate church from the state, a view that Reverend Mark Echakara of God's Kingdom Generals International holds.
First of all, because the church is an important platform where people congregate and the communities congregate, and politicians are part of the community. And so it just does happen that these politicians are also members of the congregation, and the church cannot decide who comes in and who doesn't come in. It is important also people understand that whenever leaders are in the midst of a gathering of a community, it's important for people to know what leadership is doing, what leaders are thinking, what ideas do they have, what plans do they have.
A section of churches had banned politicians from addressing congregations when they attend the church services.
It's also very important to note that the reason why politicians go to church is because of the influence of the church in this society. And if you look at even other democracies like in the US, you find the conservatives, who are mainly the evangelicals, who are the church. They also make a very big chunk of influence when it comes to politics. And you see, like Donald Trump, the way he got into power, he was behind the evangelicals. So it shows the power of the church. My personal opinion, there's a compromise which has been there. The church should not give the politicians opportunities in the altar to address the nation or to address people. It should be able to allow them to speak to the people outside the church.
Dr. Kamau Wairuri, a Kenyan political scientist and lecturer at Edinburgh Napier University, holds the view that the church has deviated from its original course.
What we are seeing now is a scenario where the church has become a pulpit or a megaphone for the political elite, and providing an avenue for political propaganda. So the way that the church used to champion the rights of the people, champion more democracy, more respect for human rights, we are not seeing that much now. And it's become very difficult to convince people that the church leaders are not doing this because they're being paid or that they're getting any benefits from it, right? So whether this is true or not, it has to discredit the institution, which is definitely not a good thing.
There is the expectation of what the church ought to do vis-a-vis the reality in the 21st century, and opinion is still divided.
I don't think it's a bad thing, and I don't think there should necessarily be control, because then if the church decides to put control, then the church also gets sucked into the political aspect of their interaction with leadership. It is important for the church leaders and the church to understand the place of leadership and why it is important for the voice of leaders to be heard. Not really in the context of politics, because a political leader, first of all, when they come, they are leaders. So we don't see them as a politician. We see them, first of all, as leaders. And leaders are the voice of the people.
A place of worship is a sacred place, is a consecrated place. But we bring politics of hatred, we bring politics of, abusing other people in the other, opposition or opposition in the government. So I think let's not defile the church. My personal view is let them come to church because they are children of God, but let them address the church outside the church.
Mm-hmm. For religious leaders, it's very important for them to remember that the church and religious institutions are avenues for people to hear and for people to find solace when they are having a lot of difficulties in their lives. So it is a bit of an affront to show up to church where you want to get peace, you want to get spiritual nourishment, and instead to end up being served politics, which is not what people really sign up when they go to church. So the religious...
When all is said and done, eyes are on how the church and state, church and politics correlate in the face of divergent opinion if the aftermath of the Gen Z protests and the church dynamics were anything to go by. George Maringa, TV47, Nairobi.
All right, thank you, George, for that great insight on the correlation between churches and politics. Interesting indeed. Now, that report by George Maringa is taking us to a very fast short break right here. Don't go too fast, so much more lined up for you. Stay with us.
Vile unavyojua watoto wengi sana hawana namna. Mimi ningependelea watoto wasome.
I met the stress on education. At the same time, let us actually
to any kind of sport that we are doing. Sport speaks the best language to everybody.
Tunataka tutafute talents. Zile raw talents kutoka kule nyumbani mashinani mahali tuko leo.
Hizi mbio za Chepsaita, like all other sports, zinaleta watu pamoja.
We want to use this event to uplift the lives of the community.
Anafurahia hii mchezo sana. Hata sikaange naambianga watu tuende Chepsaita.
Wanafunzi wakimbie ili wakuze talanta ya mbio ama kuhimiza tena elimu. This is the place to be. Hapa ndipo mahali wanastahili kuwa tarehe 7. Wale watoto walikimbia last year, wamekimbia mpaka wamefuka mipaka zetu za Kenya.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m.
All right, welcome back to the broadcast. You're watching TV47 Weekend Edition. Thank you so much for staying with us. Let's continue with our coverage. Now, ODM party leader Raila Odinga says his decision to go for the African Union chairmanship is to ensure democratic space in Kenya and Africa. Speaking during the Thanksgiving of Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga, Odinga also called on government to equally disburse a shareable county revenue allocation to all the devolved units to provide equal opportunities for development. Mike Kagbongo with the details.
With his eye focused on the highest seat at the African Union Commission, the former Prime Minister has called on Africans to step up and unite to garner available resources without considering their respective backgrounds. Speaking in Homa Bay County during ODM chairperson Gladys Wanga's homecoming ceremony, the AUC chairmanship candidate expressed optimism on his bid, sharing his vision of using the AU platform to elevate Africa's global standing and foster equality with other continents.
Sisi kama watu wa Afrika mpaka tuheshimike katika ulimwengu mzima.
kumekuwa na ubaguzi ya rangi, kumekuwa na ubaguzi ya kijinsia katika ulimwengu hii. Lakini tunasema Afrika sasa imeamuka. Waafrika mpaka waamuke, wasiwe na huruma yoyote, bilibili wasiwe na haya ya kudai yale ambayo ni yao.
Raila asked the government to disburse equal shareable revenue allocation to all devolved units while championing for democracy in the country. This as counties are facing a readjusting process after their budgets were slashed by 20 billion shillings from the 400 billion shillings equitable share in financial year of 2024.
Na vilevile ugavi ya rasilimali katika taifa letu mpaka ifanywe kwa njia sawa sawa. Hakuna ubaguzi. Kila Mkenya anatoa ushuru. Kwa hivyo ile rasilimali yote ya Kenya tunagawanya kulingana na matakwa ya Kenya wote kila mahali.
Odinga said the broad-based government which saw a section of ODM leaders join the Kenya Kwanza government was as a result of opposition's protests against Ruto's presidency, saying it was the right decision to make.
Watu wakawawa wengi. Hii inaonyesha kwamba kuna shida, sio? Si kuna shida? Pale kuna shida mpaka kuwe na suluhu. Na hiyo suluhu tunatafuta ni suluhu ya kudumu ambayo itahakikisha kwamba watu wetu wote wanapata haki yao.
ODM party politics also dominated the ceremony.
Sisi umetupea responsibility ya kuangalia mambo ya chama cha ODM, na kazi yetu muhimu zaidi ni kwenda mashinani na kujipanga na kupanga mashinani ili chama cha ODM kiwe na viti vingi zaidi za wa MCA, za ubunge na za Kenya nzima.
Nimeambia wale wabunge ambao wanaenda kusherekea ama kushiriki katika sherehe za vyama vingine lazima waombe mimi ruhusa, si namna hiyo? Na waniambia anataka kusema nini huko.
Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Mike. Now, the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union KMPDU has threatened to hold another strike this December, citing the government's failure to meet their demands outlined in a return-to-work formula signed in May this year. This decision follows a recent High Court ruling that upheld the SRC's directive to cap intern stipends at 70,000 Kenyan shillings, contrary to the 2017 CBA. This recent High Court ruling has added fuel to the ongoing dispute between the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union and the government over intern stipends. Last month, the court upheld the Salaries and Remuneration Commission's directive, which set stipends for medical interns at a reduced rate of 70,000 Kenyan shillings, down from 206,000 Kenyan shillings. In its decision, the court emphasized that interns are in training and not full-time employees, urging KMPDU and government stakeholders to negotiate towards a consensus on this issue. KMPDU, however, responded with a firm stance, stating it would hold talks until the end of November. If no resolution is reached by then, the union has threatened to call for a nationwide strike in December, expressing growing frustration with the government's lack of action on unresolved issues from previous negotiations.
The court was very clear that the CBA exists and the SRC circular is in dispute with the CBA. The court gave us mandate as a union to go and negotiate. And we said from 17th of October, we are negotiating. We will negotiate for 45 days in the boardrooms, all the boardrooms of this country. But from December, we will negotiate on the streets.
At the recent annual general meeting in Eldoret City, doctors voiced concerns about the government's failure to address the grievances that led to the previous strike, which spanned from March to May this year.
After the strike, we had a return-to-work formula, which laid down the issues that were actually making us to go on strike in our CBA. To date, we have to follow up with counties. We have to follow up with Ministry of Health. We have to follow up with the employers of doctors for issues of promotions, for issues of redesignations.
Efforts to resolve the stipend issue have already seen multiple rounds of negotiations. Talks between KMPDU and government officials on October 31st ended in a deadlock, with the Ministry of Health firmly supporting the SRC stance. Dr. Devji Atela has assured union members of continued updates, but warned that further delays could lead to a strike impacting healthcare services nationwide.
If government has not implemented agreement that we signed on 8th of May 2024, then on 30th of November we will give a 7-day strike notice. And we will proceed on strike until these issues are implemented.
Despite agreeing to return to work formally to end their previous 56-day strike, KMPDU says the underlying issues are yet to be resolved, leaving doctors and interns with little choice but to prepare for potential action in December if their demands remain unmet. Marsabit County is currently witnessing stability and peace due to the efforts by local elders. The elders, who are ambassadors of peace, have managed to reduce hostility that was being reported among the warring communities. Our Marsabit correspondent Michael Kwena spoke to the elders of peace and filed the following feature. Take a look.
3 years ago, Marsabit County was at the center of ethnic clashes due to the existing hostilities. Today, normalcy has resumed and businesses are running on as usual thanks to the efforts of the ambassadors of peace. The ambassadors of peace are the elders drawn from the initially warring communities. Adan Chukulisa is among the champions of peace.
So tukaona maana umuhimu ya amani. Tukasema mpaka tupate amani, tusimame imara, tulete Marsabit to its glory. So we decided to sacrifice our life. Tunatembea usiku, tunaenda mpaka Kenya Ethiopia border, mahali inaitwa Dilo, wanaenda huko Dukana, gas wapi, Kargi, wakikosana na pande hii ya Loyangalani, everywhere in this county.
With the current stability in the county, Marsabit Peace Chairman Sora Guyo Huka has called on those who flew out of the county as a result of skirmishes to return home and rebuild their lives.
Ninaomba sasa wote wale ambao walikuwa wamehama kutoka kaunti letu kwa sababu ya ukosefu wa amani na wakaenda kufanya investment sehemu zingine, na waomba sasa kuna usalama, sasa kuna utulivu, sasa kuna matumaini kaunti letu kurudi kama zamani. Tafadhalini murudi nyumbani, mfanye investment nyumbani, kwa sababu wanasemanga East West home is best, na wao ndio ambao watabelete maendeleo na kubadilisha hali ya maisha ya sehemu zetu ya kaunti ya Marsabit.
The peace chairman says pastoralists needs to be trained on agricultural activities in a bid to contain the conflicts that he believes are as a result of idleness.
Ile sehemu ambao kuna mchanga iko na rutuba situmike, na zingine hata ziongezwe, bohol zingine ziongezwe, alafu watu wetu wafunzwe ukulima.
His sentiment has been echoed by Adan Chukulisa, who is appealing to the youth in the vast county to shift their minds to businesses in order to earn a living instead of engaging in crimes that can destroy peace that is being witnessed currently.
Ingia kwa entrepreneur, kwa ingia biashara, ndio waweze kuchange life, waanze the outdated culture, ile culture ya kuua na kuiba mali, tumeanza kuwafunza hawa.
According to Marsabit County Commissioner James Kamau, normalcy has returned in Marsabit, stressing the need for those who moved out of the region during the tribal clashes to return back.
Business, many of the professionals to come back and invest here in our county rather than investing in other regions. And to do it, we must assure them that there is adequate security.
During this year's Mashujaa Day celebrations, Marsabit Governor Mahmoud Ali asked the security apparatus to deal firmly with criminals who might disturb the peace and security of the county.
Residents of Marsabit village in Butula sub-county, Busia County, have been left in shock after a 62-year-old woman, Margaret Namenya, who was thought to have passed away 2 weeks ago, was found and returned home alive. Our reporter Quinto Wafula reports that funeral arrangements for Namenya had already been completed, with only the removal of the body from the morgue and the burial pending. Take a look.
In Marsabit village, Butula sub-county, here, joyous songs fill the air as the villagers gather to celebrate the return of their beloved Margaret Namenya. Margaret was reported missing nearly a month ago, leading her family to begin a search and eventually identified a body at the Busia County mortuary, which despite the doubts, they concluded was their loved one.
Sa ile dalili yenye ule mama alikuwamo, hata mimi sikushika sura, but hata sura yenyewe haikuwa inaonekana. Juu alikuwa amechuchuka, na alikuwa amekufia kwa maji. Mimi nikatoka nje, nikamwambia sidhani kama huyu ni mama.
With funeral preparations in full swing, the family received information that their loved one had been spotted in a certain area, prompting them to verify the report.
Hungu ndiye alipatikana huko. Nikamwambia kijana mchukue pikipiki muende huko.
Nilipofika tu hivi, nikaweka pikipiki hivi. Mama aliponiona akasema tu muda. Mimi nilibeba hiyo pikipiki mpaka hapa. Tulipofika tukapata watu wamejaa. Tulifika huku watu hawakuamini.
Nimekuja nikiwa muoga. Na wakati nimefika nikauliza mwenye mnasema hako wapi? Ndio huyu. Nilikaa hapo nikaanza kucheka.
The return of their beloved one has now brought joy to the family. This firewood that had been prepared for cooking funeral food will now be used to prepare food for a celebration.
Kwa sababu sasa hii na harusi ya mama. Hiyo ng'ombe ikuje na tuichinje na tuikule kwa ajili ya furaha ambayo tuko nayo.
The family is also required to inform the police that the body they had identified was not their loved one, so that appropriate steps can be taken.
So tutaenda kuona polisi baada ya haya, watueleze kama watahitaji affidavit nyingine ama watakanusha ile ambayo ipo, kwa sababu ule mwili ambao uko mochari si wetu.
Kama tungezika mtu ambaye hatujui, hakika katika familia yetu hii tungepitia kwa shida.
Tunakushukuru
Kinto Wafula, TV47.
Yule ambaye tulikuwa.
All right, thank you so much, Quinto Wafula, for that report. Let's take a look at what's happening in the world of sports.
Sports news.
Vile unavyojua watoto wengi sana hawana namna. Mimi ningependelea watoto wasome.
I'm here to stress on education. At the same time, let us actually do any kind of sport that we are doing. Sport speaks the best language to everybody.
Tunataka tutafute talents. Zile raw talents kutoka kule nyumbani mashinani mahali tuko leo.
Hizi mbio za Chepsaita, like all other sports, zinaleta watu pamoja.
We want to use this event to uplift the lives of the community.
Anafurahia hii mchezo sana. Hata sikaange naambianga watu tuende Chepsaita.
Wanafunzi wakimbie ili wakuze talanta ya mbio ama kuhimiza tena elimu. This is the place to be. Hapa ndipo mahali wanastahili kuwa tarehe 7. Wale watoto walikimbia last year, wamekimbia mpaka wamefuka mipaka zetu za Kenya.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side. We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Vile unavyojua watoto wengi sana hawana namna. Mimi ningependelea watoto wasome.
I'm here to stress on education. At the same time, let us actually do any kind of sport that we are doing. Sport speaks the best language to everybody.
Tunataka tutafute talents. Zile raw talents kutoka kule nyumbani mashinani mahali tuko leo.
Hizi mbio za Chepsaita, like all other sports, zinaleta watu pamoja.
We want to use this event to uplift the lives of the community.
Anafurahia hii mchezo sana. Hata sikaange naambianga watu tuende Chepsaita.
Wanafunzi wakimbie ili wakuze talanta ya mbio ama kuhimiza tena elimu. This is the place to be. Hapa ndipo mahali wanastahili kuwa tarehe 7. Wale watoto walikimbia last year, wamekimbia mpaka wamefuka mipaka zetu za Kenya.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
As number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
You're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
All right, welcome back once again. Thank you for staying with us. It's time for To The Point, and our conversation of the day is we want to really just explore the fine line between reconstructive plastic surgery and cosmetic surgery. I know when we're starting there, I almost bit my tongue because, you know, reconstructive plastic surgery and cosmetic surgery, what really is the difference between these two? Our guests are already in studio tonight. We have Dr. Kenneth Alwara just right next to me. Dr. Kenneth is a certified plastic surgeon. And we also have Sally Njoki, who is a natural hair coach. And this is so interesting to me, Sally, because I want to also understand how you as a natural hair coach come in this conversation of plastic surgery, beautification, and whatnot, as we, of course, try to understand also the difference between these two. Now, just for the benefit of our viewer right here, we want to first of all just explain what plastic surgery really is, and this is according to the American Board of Cosmetic, that is ABCs. Now, plastic surgery focuses on enhancing or altering appearance based on personal preference, and the same says that cosmetic and beauty surgery really focuses on enhancing or altering appearance based on personal preferences. Now, Dr. Kenneth Alwara, anything that I haven't touched on between these two? We're talking about plastic surgery and cosmetic surgery. What haven't I touched on?
First,
yes,
you've mainly discussed, described cosmetic surgery.
Only?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I get it because you got that from the American Board of Cosmetic Surgery.
Yes.
Yeah? There's the American Board of Plastic Surgery.
Yes.
Which now describes plastic surgery as really restoring the the body in case there is any defect, or now personal preference in case there is any issue in the body. So plastic surgery is divided into cosmetic surgery and reconstructive surgery.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting indeed. So what is the second one?
So cosmetic surgery is now changing the appearance based on what you're talking about. You don't feel comfortable with your tummy, you don't feel comfortable with your breast, you don't feel comfortable with your butt, right? But now reconstructive surgery is when we have cancer, like skin cancer, or trauma, when you lose tissue on the leg, on the limb. When you cut your hand, you'll reconstruct the nerves, the blood vessels. Like, for example, if you remember a few years ago, we reattached a hand. That's part of plastic surgery. And then the common ones would be birth defects like cleft lip and palate. The babies who are born with a defect on the lip. That's very common, and actually our society does a lot of outreach to help these children. So that's the reconstructive bit. But as plastic surgeons, I know we are known more of cosmetic surgery, but we actually, the main goal of plastic surgery is to restore quality of life. Yeah.
So what procedures do you perform more, Dr. Of course, before I bring in Sally?
Yes. So for the cosmetic surgery, the most common would be liposuction, abdominoplasty.
The ones you perform?
Yes.
Okay.
This is okay in my practice.
Okay.
In my practice, the most common would be liposuction, tummy tuck, which is known as abdominoplasty, and breast reduction and breast lift, which are the common ones. And then there's also the Brazilian butt lift, which is now to shape the gluteal area, which the butt. Yeah, so those are the commonest surgical procedures. Then there's the non-surgical procedures like Botox, which I also did on myself, but it's now wearing off anyway. Yeah.
What is this Botox procedure, Dr.
Botox is now botulinum toxin, which we inject now on the frown lines. My frown lines, which are the lines on the forehead. Yeah. So we inject that to try and smoothen the forehead, and that helps reduce the wrinkles. And also Botox can be used in sweating. So people who sweat a lot, they come in the hands, in the feet, in the armpits, they come, we inject them. So that's Botox. Yes, that's some of them.
So Sally, as a founder of this Rooted Kings Global, how do you come in terms of hair management when you're talking about matters beautification?
When we talk about natural Afro-textured hair care, I think the most critical part that I feature in is making sure that I convey the importance of knowing the true nature of Afro-textured hair so that we can manipulate it to our advantage without using relaxers or without using chemicals that may ultimately harm our bodies. Yeah. Yeah.
So would you say those who have relaxers on their hair are sort of doing plastic surgeries on their heads or whatever?
I can say I'm not so sure about the degree, if we can really compare them. But statistics has shown that people who use relaxers, chemical treatments on their hair, have experienced more cases of cancers, endometriosis, things like fibroids and cysts. So from a statistical point, I can just say that it is critical that we understand what we are doing to our hair and how best we can be beautiful without the relaxers. Yeah.
Dr. Is there a correlation between the two?
Actually, I forgot to mention, because hair is also big on plastic surgery, and this comes in now for hair transplant and treatment of hair growth. So what we do is, like, you can get issues like what she's talking about is a very common cause of loss of hair, alopecia, which we call alopecia. So you get chemicals that are not really well mixed, or they burn the scalp, and so you lose hair, or fungal infections, and the traction, like your hairstyle, pulling your
This
hair.
is bad?
Yeah, sometimes it can be tight, and now you start getting
headaches.
It's called traction alopecia. You start losing your hair going backwards.
Especially the hairline. It really stresses the hairline. And that's why you see a lot of ladies having very fine hairs around the forehead, but the rest of the head is, okay. Because of that traction, it pulls too much, and continuous using of these practices now causes the loss of hair.
Sally, which is the better option for the ladies?
I'd say natural. It's so diverse. I mean, you can have your hair in braids, you can have your hair straight, you can be, actually there are 3 categories of being a natural. You can be a straight natural, you can be a mixed natural where you're straight and curly, and then now we have the curly naturals. So there's so much diversity and still allowance to express ourselves, especially with our hair. So I feel ladies should really explore this because it's also safer. And when it comes to things like natural hair care, as ladies, we need to share these values with the next generation so that we can save them from some of the difficulties that we are facing. Yeah.
All right. Now, Dr. why is this issue of women, I know it's so common right now in women going for plastic surgery. Why is there so much demand for these procedures?
So I'd look at it this way, right? As we are evolving and as we are growing and as we are becoming modern, we are now focusing on quality of life as opposed to number of years, right? And quality of life, as described even by the World Health Organization, includes the well-being. And well-being is not just absence of disease, but how you feel. As Maslow's laws, the hierarchy of needs. Yeah. There's the physiological, which is now food, water, air. And then now safety, which is like the clothing, shelter. And then there's social. Social is your social life, love, and all that. Then there's self-esteem. Self-esteem, which is now what we are big on. I'm sure before, it was not such a big deal, maybe from our forefathers, but now we are focusing a lot on well-being, which is mentally and socially. And so just before self-actualization, if you can't deal with self-esteem, you probably won't be self-actualized. That's the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? And so as we continue as people, as we are now becoming more enlightened, we are now noticing things like, for example, gigantomastia, which is a condition.
Simplify. Simplify for the benefit of our viewer, Dr. Just simplify.
Okay. So gigantomastia is a condition where ladies have excessive growth of the breast. Yeah. So this was nothing, I'm sure, if we go back 20 years ago. People would think, actually, yeah, you're the right girl, or you're the right woman. And actually, if in the village, I'm sure the warriors were fighting to get that girl. But now, what we are finding is the ladies with actually excessive growth of the breast, they are suffering back pain, neck pain, recurrent infections under the breast, and also the girls who are in high school, primary school, who get such a condition will actually have poor results and self-esteem issues. So now they are coming to address that. So you see, initially it wasn't a disease, but now we are understanding it impacts the quality of life. And that's where plastic surgery comes in. So for example, your tummy is big, right? I'm sure like in the 60s, it wasn't a big deal.
Right.
But right now, with the modern society, people are very stressed about how they clothe, how their clothes fit rather, social life, how attractive they look. And actually, it has been shown, there was a study in the University of Southern California, I think, I forget the exact, but it showed a correlation in better jobs, rather more attractive people get better jobs, and they followed them for 15 years, and actually it was true for the next 15 years. And so in places like Brazil and South Korea, which are like the biggest hubs for plastic surgery, they have shown that to get a better job, you have to look good. But that's just part of it. But now there's the confidence and self-esteem. Yes.
All right.
Impacts the quality of life.
Sally, this one is happening mostly with us women. Now, who is this person actually? Ni nani huyu anacheza na our self-esteem or our confidence? Why are women really opting for enhancements? And when we talk about breasts, it could be understandable. Because as we say, back pains, whatever's neck pains, that is understandable for someone to want such procedures. But when you're talking about butt enhancements, tummy tucks, why are we heading in this direction, Sally?
I think this has been impacted a lot by social media, and especially by the West, because a lot of our values in terms of this new wave of quality of life, we mirror what we see from the Europeans and the people from the West. So there's this weakness that we have, like we think that that is the best way to go. Because I believe, and especially in the olden days, ladies who are really curvaceous, who had even tummies, were considered fertile, they were considered beautiful. But now we get to a point where some of these ideas have been warped to such an extent that we do not value our bodies as beautiful. And the most interesting part is you would expect that someone who maybe is very slim is the one who is running for these procedures, but a majority of the ladies who are actually going for these procedures are actually already beautiful. So it's not really an issue of are we beautiful or not, rather the ideology. Do we believe that we are enough? So that's where, like me, as a natural hair coach, I come in and I tell you, you are beautiful with your hair as is. And I emphasize that through coaching programs, through consultancy sessions, and we are able to dig deep into the reasons why a lady may say that she doesn't want to rock her hair on a work day, she feels that it's not formal, it's not neat. I get into the truth of that statement, and I get to understand why do you feel that way, and then we can work towards straightening that ideology to a point where you're comfortable going to work with your natural hair. Yes.
Now, Daktari, is plastic surgery in Kenya really safe? How many are you in this country to begin with?
First of all, plastic surgery is extremely safe.
In Kenya?
Anywhere in the world.
Okay.
Because what we do, it's a very rigorous training. Because after your undergraduate training, you have to still go back to school for 5 years to now become a plastic surgeon. That 5 years, you're now being trained on how to become a safe plastic surgeon and perform plastic surgery. I understand, and I understand that when anything goes wrong, especially in plastic surgery, it is deemed as, it is always blown out of proportion. Because, for example, do you know the past 9 months, we have had almost 3,500 deaths on our roads. But I don't think it has been blown out of proportion. But, for example, the Brazilian butt lift, which is one of our procedures that was deemed as extremely dangerous. Currently, from Miami, which was the place that people thought it was happening a lot, there were 21 deaths compared to 3,500. Of course, we have to be extremely safe because the patient who's coming to us is not ideally sick, right? It's a normal patient, a very healthy patient, and that's why it will be taken as like so grave if the patient loses the life in the process. So to come back to your question, is it safe in Kenya? I am performing it, and so far, all the patients are walking around smiling. Yes.
Now, you know, I'm asking this because for the last 2 weeks, this issue of plastic surgery has really been hitting the headlines. Of course, we know why.
Yes, yes.
Now, do you think this trend is likely to grow or decrease after we only reported one, but we do not know these ones that we haven't really brought to light?
Yeah.
Maybe there are a lot of people who've died wakiwa surgery, but we really don't know who they are. Yes. So this trend, do you see it increasing or reducing in the country?
The trend won't change. In fact, I think it will increase. And this is just from previous history, right? And if we are to go with what has been happening, what we even brought out as our press release as the Society of Plastic Surgeons in Kenya is first, safety first. Go to a qualified plastic surgeon, a board certified plastic surgeon. It's just like when you want to go to fly a plane, you look for a qualified pilot. Otherwise, it becomes a very risky affair, right? So that's what we are pushing. It has to be a board certified plastic surgeon because as a surgeon myself, I already anticipate the possible complications that might go wrong. And that's actually the mark of a plastic surgeon or a consultant medical practitioner. We actually have to anticipate what might go wrong and now minimize or ensure nothing goes wrong. And so that's why I still assure you plastic surgery is very safe. Because, for example, liposuction, I already know there are risks like bleeding. So I have to take measures to curb that. I know there are risks that like losing part of the skin. So I have to take measures to curb that. I know there is infection that can happen. But now what happens is if you don't go to a qualified or a board certified plastic surgeon, because I mean, you already know this is the cosmetic industry. It's $1 billion industry. Any industry that has that amount of money to be made, there will definitely be business people or quote unquote quacks who will also come and reap benefits, just like conmanship.
Just hold on to that point, kidogo. And Sally, now we are talking about a patient who has alopecia, for instance, and they are rethinking the decision of going to have a plastic surgery done on their hair or hair transplant. How do you help such a patient who doesn't want to go through these procedures?
Okay, first would be to understand what type of alopecia they have. Because if it is very medical, I would not be in a position to assist. That's where I gave recommendation to hair transplant facilities. But if it's the simple traction that happens because you braided something a bit too tight, you've been braiding too tight for too long, that's something we can remedy with changing your hairstyle to suit your lifestyle. So those are some of the conversations we have in our consultations. We first of all understand the state of your hair from the hair type, hair texture, porosity, and health, so that we can refine the type of hair care regimen that will work best for you and your lifestyle. Yes.
I'm interested to know this, Sally. Do you plait your hair? You are so keen on us as ladies maintaining our natural hair as they are. But do you, as Sally, plait your hair?
Yes, I do, but I do it myself. For the most part, I haven't braided for the last 1 year. I had braids similar to yours last year in May. And I think that was the last time I had really tight styling. The rest of this other time, I'm always just twisting my hair in loose twists and just rocking them. They kind of look like dreads, but that's the way I normally style my hair. Yes.
Now, Dr. Alwara, you know, when we're talking about plastic surgery and let's just maintain not reconstructive, I wanted to go the reconstructive plastic surgery way, but when we are talking about plastic surgery, you know, usually it's known that women only come for these procedures, but it is a myth. Now, let's tutoe wanaume, maybe they have alopecia and they'll be coming for this hair transplant. Now, what are these procedures that the men also come for?
Yes, actually, you asked the right question. And men also come. They are not the majority. A study that we did at the University of Nairobi showed that the percentage of men coming for cosmetic surgery is about 15 to 20%. And the most common procedures would be liposuction again, and breast reduction for the man boobs. What we call when the breasts form, the man breasts become big. It's a condition called gynecomastia, or quote unquote man boobs. And also, I have a couple of patients who have come now also to reduce their behind. Yes.
So also another interesting question that I had, Dr. is how do you perceive the balance between functionality and now aesthetics?
Actually, that is now principles of plastic surgery. Top priority is function, then now cosmetic. Okay? So, for example, if you come for surgery, if you're unhealthy or if you're not fit for the surgery, we can't compromise that and just do the cosmetic surgery. The first top priority is safety. Safety comes in terms of function. And for example, if your hand or your leg has a problem, this is just an example. We would take that priority compared to now the tummy. You understand? Yes. But now the thin line is, I think what you meant is, it can now be obsessive. Yes, especially the cosmetic surgery. And that is where the first consultation is very important. And that is where we discuss all what you desire as a patient and what is realistic and what I can realistically do. Because there are psychiatric conditions like body dysmorphia, where someone, like for example yourself, you see yourself as having an excessively large tummy. For example, you. And we all here can't see that. So that's a psychiatric condition. So we work hand in hand with psychologists, psychiatrists. So we'll refer you first there so that at least that one will be sorted by that. So we just don't come and you tell us, okay, this, we do. No, it's within reason, within safety. We have to do the blood test, the consultation, and plan for the surgery, and only do what is reasonable. Yes.
All right, Sally, of course, as we wind up, we are winding up. And, you know, when we're talking about the quality of life in terms of plastic surgery, and the quality of life is affecting lives, you know, people are dying because they're pursuing the quality of life. Now, of course, as we wind up, and this is also your parting shot, who really determines the beauty standard, and why are we going this direction?
I'd say it depends. For me, I define my beauty standards. I look at myself in the mirror and I decide how I am is how best I am. So I don't put unnecessary pressure on myself to look like someone else from a different race or someone from a different community. I choose to accept myself and choose my appearance as the epitome of beauty. And I think that is a philosophy that fellow ladies need to embrace. They need to look at themselves in the mirror and really just love. You see, the way like we're on social media and maybe I come to your Instagram and it's your birthday and you look so pretty. And I write so many nice things there on the comment section. Oh, you're beautiful. We need to do that to ourselves too, to see beauty in ourselves. And I think that's the best way we can also pass on positive culture to the next generation. And especially as a young mom, I felt very compelled to even write a book geared towards kids, where we can teach them that their hair is beautiful and diverse and they need to embrace it. So this is my little book. It's called Loving My Hair As Is. And it's all about motivating the child of Afro-textured hair.
Up a bit.
Something like this. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Dr. of course, as we wind up, and we'll be taking a look at that book later on, because time is also not on our side. Who is setting these beauty standards as we wind up?
She's touched on a very important thing, because all this is usually personal. Plastic surgery is very personal. What you want, what she wants, what I would want. It's very different. Like, for example, what you think is the issue might be very trivial to her. Of course, if it's reasonable, not now what I explained before, which is like borderline psychiatric. If it's very reasonable, like, for example, if I'd think if you'd think your breasts are smaller than normal, right? And truly they're smaller. Ideally, it's more of a personal thing that it's you who's feeling compared to, she won't understand. So what we always say, plastic surgery is very personal. The beauty standards, definitely, unfortunately for us right now, we're in probably the most advanced social era. And we are guided by a lot of factors. We're always products of our environment, as we know. And so there's a lot that is being done, and that is affecting our confidence.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Of course, this is a conversation that is so interesting, and I know that it cannot end right here because this debate is still continuing as we speak. So thank you so much, Dr. Kenneth Alwora and Sally Njoki, for gracing To The Point tonight. And that brings us to the end of our conversation and to the end of this broadcast. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Anne Odida, and our sign language interpreter tonight is Catherine Simaloi. Have a good night and see you next time, inshallah.